Ladies and gentlemen, Tactical Advance here, and welcome to a Star Citizen update. Now today, we're going to be talking about the Starfarer release and also Star Marine as well. Now the Starfarer is a fuel platform. There are two types. You've got the Starfarer, which is the standard one you could say, which can carry more cargo. We'll go into some more detail on that in a second. And the second one, you've got the Starfarer Gemini, or the G2G as it's known, or you could even call it the Star G. Now the Gemini has slightly less cargo capacity as the standard Starfarer. It also has slightly less maneuverability in exchange for reinforcement on armor and weaponry. It basically has a stronger version of the three main turrets and a slightly bigger shield generator. The Gemini also includes an optional missile pod which can be swapped out for a fuel intake unit that actually fits on the front of the ship. You can actually swap out the fuel intake system on the standard Starfarer and do the same thing. So they both have it, but default out of the gate, the Gemini comes with the missiles. The Gemini comes with 284 cargo units, and the Starfarer, the standard one, has 3,321. Quite a big difference there. We're nearly 900, so pretty significant really. Depending on what you're looking to do, obviously you can carry fuel with this because that's what its main role is, but there will be an option also to swap out the cargo units for standard cargo units or dry weight cargo units as well if you choose to. But I imagine that the fuel or the liquids, because it doesn't have to be fuel, would probably be quite worthwhile doing. In other words, probably make you more money. Both have a crew of 7 people, it's quite a lot, and there definitely will be a mini game here for harvesting fuel as well. The Gemini also has a size 7 power plant and a max shields of 4, so pretty much one higher than over the standard Starfarer, and that applies to both. The intake actually on the nose where the missile pod can be swapped out is actually designed to take in spaceborne hydrogen and refine it for use without landing. So I suppose the question is how do you actually decide between the two of which one you're going to go for? Now what I imagine it's going to work like, I suppose if you're just ferrying fuel in UEE space, the standard Starfarer probably would be more appealing to me, because I'll be thinking you've got the UEE protecting you, you can probably create missions as well, or possibly even hire AI wingman to escort you if you felt it was that dangerous. The Gemini's strength is going to be, I imagine, flying outside of UEE space. So if you're doing some sort of big mission with an organization or some refueling a large ship far out in deep space, then having that extra weaponry might be beneficial, because obviously you're about to protect yourself slightly better. I actually own the Starfarer as well, and I'm probably going to keep the standard one, do some sort of space trucking. I've been really looking forward to seeing these images, and they look absolutely fantastic. Not been disappointed at all. And I also noticed in one of the images as well, it looks like you possibly get a fish tank as well. Fantastic. So if you're looking for a Starfarer, jump over to the RSI site and pick one up as soon as you can. And they're actually also on the LTI as well, so bit of a Brucey bonus there as well. Right, moving on to the anticipated Star Marine now. I know we've all been waiting for this, and yeah, I mean I'm really excited about it too. It's a shame there's been some delays, but I sort of understand why there's been delays, and at the same time I'm sort of pleased in some ways, not because there's a delay, because by reading the post, I can see that they've put in considerable effort, not just to say, right, PvP's ready, go and play Star Marine. They're actually revisiting what they currently have to make it even better, and I totally agree, so I'm pleased with that. Anyway, so let's go through some of the things that we've got coming up. Right, the game modes are, we've got the Saturn Ball, Asteroid Arena, and the Gold Horizon level. And I think, obviously, I've said this before, I imagine that the other sort of EVA modes are there for one reason, really, just to sort of iron that out when we go into the persistent universe. Something else they've added as well, which they've been working on, they've introduced an entirely new level of material detail for certain characters, which all the characters in the game, that utilizes the PBR materials on their characters and assets. So this affects the textures, the densities, it's going to make things look so much better, and also it reduces the memory intensivity down as well, because obviously once you start increasing like mega poly counts for the loading for the characters, we're going to have the same thing that we initially had with the ships loading, so it would load into the VR RAM. So hopefully, because they've sort of identified that in the hangars, they're applying that same method into the FPS, so there's one of the changes that's actually happened. Something that RSI are really trying to do, and I see why, guys. I think there's a lot of pressure under RSI to, every time they release something, it's got to be next gen. We've seen next gen spaceships, and we've seen next gen space. And that's not that difficult to compete with, because let's be honest, there's not that many games out there really, I mean there is a few, but that are really pushing the boundaries in these areas. But one thing it is difficult to do is to come out with the next gen FPS, because obviously there is hundreds of them out there. So they've got this big challenge up against them here, really. I think this is probably going to be more significant than probably the space aspect, because they haven't got that many people to compete against on the sort of space travel, but on the FPS it's going to be very comparable. So they are aiming for truly the next gen of FPS. In the first release of FPS there will only be a PvP mode, and later on we will then see a PvE, and that'll be added later on once they've sort of ironed out all the issues with the standard character models and the PvP. And then we'll see the AI introduced, and then they'll work on AI behavior. A new addition as well, they have implemented a new matchmaking system. The reason they've done this is obviously through experience in the FPS module, Arena Commander. Waiting times are not majorly long, but they are relatively long, and obviously the player base at the moment is not massive, so I think they've definitely looked at that and thought, right, we need to sort this out. What we're going to see is a new instancing manager that should improve the waiting times to get into matches, and this also will help out when we sort of move over to the multi-crew ship operations as well, because there's one thing joining a mission with your friends or joining in on a mission, but there's another thing joining in a mission on a multi-crew ship. One of the other updates that's also happened is the CryEngine has been updated to the latest version, and some of the bits that it includes are some 64-bit world coordination system, the conversion to 64 global entries, streaming goats, yeah, whatever, yeah, that sounds great, guys. Yeah, complicated stuff that needed to be done, basically. Update to the sound engine. I think we're all aware of this. The sound engine was being swapped out. I think it's using WWise now, and this will help going forward implementing sound and what the actual sound technicians can actually do with the dynamic range. So that's like moving closer, further away from objects, sound bouncing off walls and that sort of stuff. The new sound system will also help with different environments. And also keep in mind that a lot of films these days, you know, spend anywhere between 2 and 20% of their actual film budget on audio. Now you might say that's irrelevant for a game, but to make a game that is really sort of, you know, you climb into, I think sound's really, really important. So I'm glad they're putting the emphasis on that. So all in all, the conclusion for me, guys, would I like to be playing the FPS right now? Yes, I would. I believe they're taking the time to revisit areas to make sure that this is just not a great space game, but it's going to be a great FPS and so on. And I've no doubt when it's released, it won't be a disappointment for us. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye now.